Good morning everybody, it's Sunday. Okay, I started work on the seat pan, and as you remember from the previous video, I made a template and I marked that out on some stainless steel sheet this morning, and I've cut that out and just doing a mock-up fit, trial fit of it. Now, stainless steel is meant to be stainless steel for a reason. It's not meant to stain. Now, this has had a plastic film on it for over 20 years, probably nearly 25 years, but it seems to have left patches, and I've tried to polish it. I don't have a buff, you know, but I've tried to polish it with a bit of this Never Dull. It came up a lot better. I used some prep wash on it first to get any residue off it, and then I used that by hand, and it came up a lot better. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'll take that to the Hot Rod Club meeting on Thursday, and I'll ask the mechanic if he can just give it a quick buff and get it looking good for me. But I'm pretty happy with the way it's come up. These springs will sit. They'll sit down on the pan. They'll be a lot straighter, and then they'll kink out. As it is at the moment, they're just nipped up with my fingers. The bolts only just push through. It doesn't even have the nut on it. But yeah, it's nice. It's looking good. I was worried about burning the edges, and yeah, amazingly, that polish, that Eagle One Never Dull wadding, happened to take it all off, so that was good. And I think once it's buffed, it'll really come up. What I've tried to do, as I was trying to explain in the last video, is I wanted to keep this center of the rail, of the frame rail. I didn't want it hanging out, because obviously then you start getting catch points. I used a flap disc and just ran it along the underside and the top side just to get the burrs off it. This is all sitting nice at the back. So yeah, it's looking good. You know, I'm pretty happy. I think it's going to be, I don't know if you can see that in the camera. You can see here where it's really got shiny, the way it should be, and then the rest of it's dull, like it's got some sort of sticky adhesive on it. So if I can get that stainless steel, you can see my finger in the reflection there, I hope. If I can get this polished up like that, it's going to be almost a perfect match for all the side covers, or for all the chrome. So yeah, it's fairly neat around here. You know, I've made the cutout to go around the bracket. Obviously I had to, you know, there's not much you could do about the front of it there, unless you want to get real technical and lift the tank off and put a piece in there and blah blah blah. But well, the other thing I could have done is cut a slot in it, but even if I did that, it's still really difficult to try and, because this goes under the tank, you wouldn't be able to slide the bracket or slide the pan in over the bracket. So yeah, that's nothing. I'm not worried about that. It's going to sit up a little bit here, obviously, because of these factory weld points, but you know, what can you do? That's just the way it goes. It's nice on the other side though. It's a very flush fit. So it's very nice. You can see there when there's no brackets that have been welded to the frame, it sits very nicely there. But you know, yeah, I'm happy. I've accomplished that this morning, and I'm one step closer to getting this old girl finished. And today now I'm going to mess around with the back fender and try and work out how much I need to cut out of it and the way I'm going to cut it out and all those bits and pieces. So Yeah, that's going to be a trial and error thing too. I think a lot of paper templates, and I think lots of cups of coffee today. Extremely tired. Tried to edit a video. I'm trying to edit stuff. I'm hopeless at it. But yeah, I set up till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to edit this thing. Let it run overnight whilst it was exporting, as it does. And stupid me, I was that tired that I didn't realise when you like copy and paste all the footage from your desktop, because I always send everything to my desktop. I hate going through folders looking for stuff, so I've taken it off the camera, put it all onto the desktop, and then basically copied whatever there was, 15 clips, pasted it into the editing software, and then one by one picked away and loaded it onto the timeline. But I was so tired I didn't realize that this software package doesn't, when you bring them over to put them in like the little storage area before you drop them onto the timeline, it rearranges it. It doesn't keep it in the sequence that the footage sequence that you uploaded onto your desktop. It actually puts the longest clips sort of up there first, even though you're taking something and you're dumping it as a whole. Once it gets dumped onto that, yeah, it quickly reshuffles itself so quick that you don't even know it's done it, and you end up with like the first bit that you filmed, and then you might end up with the 5th bit that you filmed as the next video. So you actually have to go through all the videos, and you have to look for the GoPro code. I don't know what you call it, but you've got to look for the code. So you might have you might start off as 15, and then next will come 23, and then it'll jump back to 16, and then you'll have 17, and then 25. And yeah, I fucked up. I just copied, I just went one by one in order of the way they were in that block, waiting to go onto the timeline, and it exported overnight. I got up this morning, I went to play it, and I thought, hang on, this doesn't make sense. So and then I realized what happened. So I've had to do it all again. I've had to go and pick each bit of footage out of the storage library, or the storage box, or whatever you want to call it, prior to putting it on the timeline. And I've had to actually look for it, because they're not in order. So yeah, I know I'm rambling on. I'm just so tired. But yeah, so whilst I'm out here, that's exporting now, and hopefully I should have a video that's ready by the end of the day, and I'll upload that and bore the shit out of you again, and then there'll be obviously this one that will come the following day. So I'll leave it here for now, and I'll do some work. I'm working on a pattern for this rear fender. And I'm not really sure what I like. I know what I like, and I've seen it on 2 bikes on YouTube. Whether I could reproduce it as good as theirs, I don't know. But I'll give you a look at what I'm doing. So what I did is this ridge here on the tyre, I started off there, obviously, and measured down, and that was 50 mil. So I just put dots all around the perimeter of the fender, and I found something that would give me, I measured between the ridges, and that was 550, and I went and had a bit of a look around the garage and sheds and everything for something that was $5.50, and happened to find this grill off my Weber barbecue, which is perfect. It's a nice sort of round template. It's nice and square. So I put that up against the dots and I marked around it. Now, one thing I've noticed on the fenders that I've spotted and I like on YouTube is that they haven't done, and remember they are different bikes, they haven't used this type of bracket here that I've used. What they've done is they've welded to the frame some spaces like little tubes, and they've obviously put a nut in from behind, a bolt in from behind. So they're fastening points here. So what they've done is when they've cut their fender, they've left this piece here as a to be a mounting point, and then they've sort of taken it back out again and come around. Now, they get all fancy on the corner here, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm not good at drawing, so my eldest niece, she'd be all over this like a free lunch. She's an exceptional artist. She'd be able to sketch all that out on my back fender for me, like it was a carbon copy. But she's overseas at the moment with her family, and I'm wanting to get this done as soon as possible. So what I did is I sort of looked at the back of it, and the ones I saw had a round shape, but they were sort of more, say imagine triangular. They come to a peak with a round bottom on them. So, you know, their pattern would be coming up here somehow and then cutting across, and it looks neat, but I'm not convinced I can do it. Now, what I did is I found the center line of the fender, and I had marked out a smaller circle here. It was 100 millimeters, and it looked a little bit too small. Like for the width of the tire, there wasn't much there. So I found something bigger. Which sort of took it out to this point here, which is sort of right on the ridge of the fender, which is sort of right on the ridge of the tire, not on this high ridge, but where basically your flat surface starts to become your sidewall. And I like that better, and I figure that by going out wider, I'm going to leave more meat on the fender. And if I try to reproduce what I've seen on YouTube, at least I still have the material here to do it. I'm going to have more material in the guts here to do it. So by taking less off, you know, I can modify at a later stage. I can take more out. I don't mind that. I think it looks alright. It's sort of really hard to gauge what it will look like. It's always a scary thing, cutting a fender, and seeing I've been looking at some YouTube videos this morning. I did find an AJS, which is the UK's equivalent of the Hunter, and I would say, looking at what I could see, it was an all black bike, so everything was black. It's real hard to pick out distinctive bracketry and this, that and the other, and obviously if you go full screen it was a little bit pixelated and you couldn't quite make it out. But one thing that I'm 100% sure of is they used the bottom bracket like I've done, but they haven't used the top bracket. As I said, they've used some little tubes in here, welded those tubes to the swing arms, tap the thread in them and then put a bolt in from behind that. They would have done that on each side. But you know, I've gone with something different. It sort of has me thinking, you know, should I have done it that way? Should I have done it the way the guys have done it on YouTube? And yeah, I start doubting myself whether I've done it the right way. You know, there'll be lots of people that criticize me and say, oh, you know, that's not the way you do it. You know, if you're going to do it, you put those crush tubes in there and, you know, drill them and tap them out and put a screw through it. But you know, I really don't know what to do, guys. I'm cutting this. I am cutting this out here. Like if I do it, I will cut that out and I'll leave it there, just as a safety precaution. Like, I know I can get this bracket out. I have to let the tyre down, but I doubt that there's any bike that you can just take the rear fender off without removing the seat or removing covers or removing this, that and the other. There's always a process to get fenders off. They're not really meant to come off. Once they're on, they're on, unless they're coming off to be painted or you've got to get in to do some work on something, but most other things are accessible from underneath. So yeah, you know, I can if I don't go, if I decide to change that mounting bracket, which means I just got to grind the weld off on each side, that'll be fine. If I decide to do this like everybody else has done it, at least I'll have the material here to do it. So I'm gonna follow what I've got here and follow that down and then follow that back out and follow it right down to the bottom here. And then hopefully if I can keep this in one piece, I can use this as the template for the other side. And I should be able to get it near perfect. So rather than chat anymore and make myself more nervous than I already am about chopping this fender up, I'm going to have a go at it and hope for the best. So far everything else that I've done has turned out pretty good, but you know, this one's sort of a biggie. Okay, the fender only cost me $120, but if I stuff it up and I have to go out and buy another one, it's going to cost me, as I think I said the other day, $256 or $260, something like that. And then I've got to go through the whole process of making mounts for that, because all the aftermarket stuff is for, you know, it's based off a Harley setup for, you know, even if I buy a Harley Softail rear bobber fender, it's the bracketry is the whole swing arm setup's different. So yeah, I'm going to have to deal with bracketry as well. So I want to try and I've got this mounted and it's working, and I want to try and get this as good as I can. So keep your fingers crossed for me, and I'll have a go at it and see how it all pans out. Just had a go at cutting the first piece out, no problem. So it's nice clean cut, come out of there. So I'm going to keep going now and take this section out in one piece and see how it all comes up. very jumpy. So sometimes it's like the blade's not moving, and then other times it flies through it like a hot knife through butter. So it's really hard to sort of hold. Sometimes pushing back on the jigsaw helps to get the blade moving through the material a bit easier, but yeah, when you just can't hold it stable, you know, it's hit and miss. And I don't think this jigsaw blade ever expected to go through metal this thick. It's fairly thick gauge stuff. But yeah, it's doing it. The blade doesn't have many tips on the teeth left, but you know, it's doing it. We're getting there. Be careful I don't break it. I think it's my last metal blade, so reciprocating saw would be really nice. There's been a couple of times when I've required one, but I've managed to make do without one. Not just for cars and bikes, but for the house. I'm going to need one shortly when I fix up the back of my house, which is a story that you guys would have found out about if you follow my Studebaker series. So yeah, I'm hoping this year that we're finally going to get the house fixed after about 7 years. 2011 is when the house sunk to a hole, so hopefully we can get it all fixed up this year. I'll keep going with this. I'm nearly there guys, and it's real hard now because I'm on a corner. And it's getting dark too down there when I'm trying to see what I'm doing. Yeah. We're nearly there guys. God, I can't see it though. It's whoop. Okay. That was a nice clean cut on the edge. which is exactly what I wanted. Oh, jeez. Okay. Looks like it's made a hell of a difference already. Proof is in the pudding though, as they say. Got to fit it up, check it out. So that's sort of, I don't know if the camera's going to do it justice because of the fisheye lens, but you can sort of see how I've got that curve there, and I'll bring that out on the other side. See, great things. Some things you just can't reverse. Some things you can. So I think my best bet there maybe is to make a paper template, which means I'd have to knock this out flat and then just lay it over there and recreate it on this side. You know, I can follow that to a point, so if I lay that there, I can actually match up holes so I know I'm in the right spot, and we can, where's my, you've got to be careful too. What I should have done too with the whiteboard marker is once I decided on the pattern that I wanted, I should have went over it with a permanent marker. Because you can actually rub it off with your hand. Not so much with the jigsaw, because the jigsaw will be always behind the line, so you've just got to be careful where you place your hand. So I can get to there, guys, but I've got to be able to duplicate the pattern on that side, just in this section here, which shouldn't be too hard. And there's not a lot of distance to cover, but you know, sometimes the easiest things, or what seems to be the easiest things, you can easily fuck them up. So so we'll take this, and I'll go grab a hammer. I might as well film this. Why not? It won't take long, so just bash it out. Okay, we get on the flat concrete here. It's only got to be rough, guys. I only need to take a paper template off it. But I'm just wondering, so if that was reversed, let's see. Okay, yeah, this will work. This will work to a point, so I can get the curve. I can get the curve here. But then I can't really get the rest of it unless oops, there goes my Weber grill. Now let's have a look, guys. What can we do here? Probably be a lot quicker to do a cardboard template, to be honest, a paper template. But I wonder if I can shape this to the shape of the fender. Just go in the opposite direction, huh? It might be, you know, it might be good enough to get to use as a template. Who knows, I might have made a good blacksmith in the old West. Let's have a look. We're not far, So, as long as I can get it close. If I fuck it up, I can always straighten it out again. And just make up the cardboard one. But I like a bit of a challenge sometimes. It's like the XR, what do you call it? The XR exhaust. You know, I was thinking slide hammer. Everyone else was. Oh, one guy, Michael, he was thinking. Just cut it out. So, you know, you get different ideas from different people, and it's good to give them a try. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Bet that almost in the completely opposite direction now. As you can see, just got a little bit. Just got to flatten it out here. But I'm going to need to use my vise. The mash hammer's just not enough. See how much of that's come around. Maybe a bit too much in one spot, but yeah, just got to bang this tip over. Would have been much quicker with cardboard or paper, I think. But yeah, as I said, I like having a go. All I've got to be able to do is just sketch around it. Just got to be able to sketch around it. If I can keep a little bit higher here. Just if I keep those lines lined up like that, you can sketch around this. I think that might do it. I think that might be it. So let's just clean it up a little bit. See, I'm no good freehand. I'm fucking hopeless. I'm hopeless freehand. I think that's it, guys. I think that's pretty much it. You know, I'm willing to have a crack at that now, and see how it comes. See how it comes together. And just well, we won't need that. We can use the template off the other side because we want it exactly the same. Yeah. So let me get my permanent marker. No good me telling you things and then I'll go and do the complete opposite. We line the holes up again. What I'll do is I'll get rid of that line. So the permanent marker actually stays on the metal. Okay, that'll do it. I'm gonna have a crack at this side, guys, so not much use me filming it. You already see me do the other side. And I'll just keep you seated in front of the computer longer, so I'll leave it here for now and I'll show you what I get once I've finished. Okay, I've made the cut and smoothed up the edges. I'm still not finished with it, but as I said, you know, it was going to be the first chop out of it, and that's the result. Doesn't look too bad. I like that. What I'll do is I'll pick one side, probably this side, which was the first side I cut, and I have to now make a cardboard template up to the center line and then reverse it, just to make sure that I've got all the shape and everything right. That's pretty good there. It looks sort of a little bit funny here because obviously it's cut out for the chain guard, so that will always look like that, and I've noticed that on a lot of bikes that is there. Now I'm liking this because this is following that ridge of the tire here, and then it cuts back in here just in case I decide to change the mounts to a swing arm mount here. I've got this piece of metal, but then when it gets down here you can see the ridge, and then we lose the ridge. Ridge is just a little bit back behind this, so I'm going to just take a couple more mil off this. I'll put the bolts in the top. I haven't put the bolts in the bottom, but that fender is hard up against that bracket, so I know I need to just take a little bit off that, sort of get more of a I've got to get more of a curve into this. This is, although I did mark it round with that that Weber grill, it seems to have it seems to have cut a little straighter than it should have. So this is my only bad spot at the moment that I've got to correct, but I think that looks absolutely fucking awesome if you ask me for a first attempt. So yeah, I think it's good. I hope you guys like it. You know, if I wanted to get really technical here, I could add a piece of metal in there, form it, but you know what? The manufacturer made it that way, and they made it that way for a reason, so I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to tinker with it, but I'm happy with that. I can tell that the two sides are slightly out, but not by much. It's only minimal, very, very minimal. So that guard's got to sort of sit, you can see the center line. I'm guessing that it's just got to be tweaked around there a little bit, but you got to remember I don't have the bottom bolts in yet, and there always will be a little bit of movement because I've got no support braces coming off this, and I didn't want any. So yeah, it's good. So yeah guys, I hope you like it. I'm gonna get into it and get that fixed up now. Just took the Hunter for its first I guess official ride since the bobber rear end and the exhaust Put pegs and all the other new stuff went on it, and just took it up the road. I'm still not happy with the back brakes. They're okay when you sit in here, but when you're moving, I don't know. I've bled them as many times as I sort of dare to bleed them. I think I definitely need to take it into the Hunter dealer and have him have a go at bleeding it. Mate, I know I'm not doing anything wrong. If this was a car, no problem. You'd have perfect brakes. But this bike, I just don't know. The front brakes are great. They'll throw you over the handlebars. The back brakes, nothing but problems since day one with these back brakes. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get somebody that knows what they're doing to bleed them and get them right for me. But besides that, everything was good. There was no vibrations from the rear guard, no vibrations from the seat pan cover, and I haven't screwed this down at the front. It turns out that the bracket will actually hold it. It sort of slides up under a bit of a lip there, so they'll actually hold it in place. I don't have to muck around with it with lifting the tank off. So seems to have heaps more power, probably because the exhaust isn't restricted like it was with those crappy old Buffaloes. These things that look like they've come off a CB250 or something. So we'll get rid of them. And besides the brake light number plate holder, that's pretty much it, guys. So I'll speak to a friend of mine during the week, because I think this thing's going to have to be made out of alloy. So there's going to be a bit of TIG welding involved in it, and I don't have a TIG welder, and I probably couldn't TIG weld if I tried. So I'm going to get him to make something up out of that, out of some alloy. I'll just draw him a proper diagram of my little sketch here, and we'll get something happening, and we'll get that number plate mounted up, and then it's ready to go in and get painted. All the two guards are ready to go in and get painted. There's really nothing else I need to do or want to do to the bike. These clamps, I keep saying I've got to get these clamps. I'll get them. I don't think I need to modify the exhaust here. I don't think I need to heat it up and bend it. When the bike's actually standing upright and not on the lean, it actually looks good. It looks like it's sitting right. I think it's just the lean of the bike that makes the pipe look like it falls at the back. But that's it. That's it, guys. I'll spend all I'm going to spend on this bike, except for the paint on the fenders, and that's it. So it's been a hard couple of months since I bought the bike, but we finally got there. Not through anybody else's patience and persistence, through my own. So yeah, we're there. We'll be cruising on this shortly. I'm still suspecting it's going to take a couple of weeks to get the guards painted. So you know, I'm not going to go bolt the Spyder back end back on to this now. I'll just wait. If it's going to take a couple of weeks, I'll wait a couple of weeks, and yeah, that's it. So yeah, thanks for taking the journey with me on the Hunter, and hopefully in a few weeks or a week's time, we'll be able to pick up on the trail bike, and in a couple more weeks we'll be back onto the Studebaker. I think I'm going to get a visit from Mike, which is good. He called me the other night. We had a chat for an hour, and I think he's keen to get back into it. So, yeah, all good. Cheers. One last thing, I couldn't help myself. I had to play around with the number plate holder. I still got to get the part made, but I thought, how can I just get this sitting on the bike so I can have a look at it? Well, what I did is there was a screw in here to hold the chain guard on. Managed to find a longer bolt with the same thread. What I did is I packed the inside of this. As you can see, it's loose. It's just sitting there. But I packed the inside of that hole with washers of the same diameter and screwed it on. And that gives me a bit of an idea of what it's going to look like from the rear end. So yeah, that wouldn't even be a bad place to mount it from if I could get a bushing or something made up for this. As you can see at the back here, I'll move those wires out of the way. You see that washer? It's a little bit loose, and that's the washer that came with it. So if I had a couple more washers that size to put in there, it'd be okay. As you can see, this washer, I found this washer in my washer jar. It's starting to pull in, so this is definitely tightening up. But yeah, I need something else in behind there. One other thing I could do is probably trim down this this sleeve that goes inside there. I've got to use the sleeve because I don't have any washers to suit the inside diameter of the actual arm itself. But I've got ones that fit perfect inside the sleeve that slots inside there. So I could probably, if I took a couple of mil off that, I could probably do something with that. You know, it's not a bad position, and I still can get to my, adjusters. So it's amazing how things can change at the last minute. As I was saying, you know, it's a discovery. So I'm gonna maybe just tinker around with this for a little bit longer. Still plenty of hours left in the day, and I'm going to see if I can come up with something for this, because I might just be on the right track. Thanks. Cheers. Okay, I've started to wire this up. Yeah, the Hunter's got, it's got a green and white, it's got a brown, and it's got a plain green. Now plain green is an earth, usually black's your earth, so I'd say that's right. This has got a white stripe in it, so I'm guessing that white and white go together, and brown and red, positive. So I've got, I guess, this wired up the way it was. Now the Spyder rear end had, as you can see, green, black and red on there. You know, nothing fancy, and yet the brake light worked on this. When I actually hit the brake light, the white LEDs come on, which is supposed to illuminate your number plate when you're running your lights. This doesn't actually light up. These two little LEDs under here light up, so I'm a little bit confused at the moment. That's the wiring configuration we've got. So black, red and white coming off the number plate, and green, brown and green with a white stripe coming off the Hunter. If anybody can tell me what I'm doing wrong, that'd be really good. I suspect it's not due to the wiring here. I got a feeling it's inside here, the way this is wired. but in order to get it to work, I may have to run a loop or something. But I don't want to go running loops and blow fuses and stuff the bike. So if anybody can help me there, that'd be really, really good. Cheers.